Hi. I'm just going to charge these up. These did not charge properly. Good morning. Hi, it's T. Waldron here. I'm in a different location today for the live. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. This morning I have to present, and I'm very excited about this. I get to present a program to my former colleagues, and I went through it yesterday and I realized it was boring. So I completely reworked it like most of last night and this morning. Hey Kevin, thanks for tuning in. It's a different format today. I have to do a run through of this program that I'm about to present in an hour and a half. So today we're going to talk about the history and art of flowers. Okay, it's something new. We're just doing it today because I need to practice. So I just printed out my notes. If you want to tune out right now, I don't blame you, but also if you can hang in, I would appreciate the backup. Okay, so I'm gonna get my images ready. I hope you can see them once I show you like for my computer here. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, thank you. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna start the presentation now. We're pretending I'm coming in. What symbolizes love, beauty, purity, and can express many emotions? It also symbolizes rebirth and mortality. It's flowers. Who would have thought flowers can do all that? A long time ago in Egyptian artwork, and thank you by the way, I appreciate you for being all ears. Many years ago in Egyptian artwork, the lotus flower symbolized rebirth, because every night it would close and then in the morning it would reopen again like the sun. It became a symbol of resurrection because it would come back to life despite the murky waters of the Nile River. So that gave folks hope back then. All right, oh, I forgot to show pictures. Oh no, okay, so I'll have this on a screen. So anyway, here's an image of a Egyptian ceramic of a lotus flower. And I'm gonna read you this on my other channel and have the pictures up close. In Greek and Roman times, the different flora and fauna symbolized different things. A laurel wreath symbolized winning a war. This is a Greek, it's a Greek statue. And you can see, if you look closely, the gentleman has a laurel wreath on his head, symbolizing victory. And Romans also use flowers sporadically, and this is a mosaic from Byzantine times. And there are little flowers in the background also with the bird. So they were just kind of thrown in there as a aside. Now, most of the time in artwork, for many, many years, what do you think the subjects were? And you can feel free to answer. I'll ask the audience. Oh yes, you're right, religious symbolism and portraits. So this is a portrait that was back in 1387. It's actually 1434. It's Giovanni Amalfini and his wife. And if you can look closely, it's hard to see, but she is expecting a baby. So that was announcing, that's like their birth announcement back in the day. Isn't that fun? And then the secondary topic was religious symbolism. So that was very popular. So really flowers weren't a topic very much until the Dutch Golden Age. Things changed. Things went wild, okay? Because the Protestant Reformation happened. And then suddenly religious icons weren't really favored. This is one of the images from 1434, and you can see flowers are starting to be a little bit more prominent in the background, but they're not really that popular. It's still really about the figure. And then with the Protestant Reformation and actually the Renaissance, so Da Vinci started getting involved in drawing flowers. And he looked at the flowers though as science, like he dissected them. He wanted to know how they worked, how they were functioning. If you notice here, this looks more like a diagram on making a machine than a drawing of a flower, but that was his drawing of violets. So, but it's very cool how he took a totally different approach on the flowers. And then Albrecht Dürer, he was another a Dutch artist who loved to combine science with artwork. Yeah, Picasso. Yeah, I didn't do Picasso because he was kind of a jerk. Anyway, I didn't really do a lot of flowers. But anyway, okay, back to this. Albrecht Dürer, he did these really cool drawings of, he did a drawing of grass. He did a patch of grass, literally. And it was beautiful, actually. I didn't include it because it wasn't a flower. But this is a certain kind of flower, but it's got all these details in it. So he started to combine science and artwork, right? And he made it, you can see every little vein on the flower. So when I put this on my other channel, I'll have a close-up of this image so you can really check it out. And then, so at that time, it was really a hot ticket for the Dutch folks. They were doing so well. They had, and actually I wrote out here, let me see here. The Dutch were doing really well because they were obviously doing international trade. They had immense wealth. They had culture, scientific advancements, and artistic innovation. So but they didn't want religious images, so they started getting into still life. So what did people want to hang in their house? You know, they didn't want to hang, a picture of meat or a dead fish or something. They wanted pictures of flowers. So one of the foremost artists at that time was Maria van Oosterwijk. This is a still life with flowers and butterflies. And it starts to get really interesting because she has this dark background and the flowers are sort of coming out of the background. And it's just very interesting. It's not a typical well-lit still life. And then this young lady, I did two ladies because they were so good at these. Rachel Roush, she was the foremost painter in Netherlands at this time during the Dutch Golden Age. And she also worked for The Hague. And her work still hangs there in The Hague. And she did a very, it's so hard to see because it's dark, but she did these beautiful images. And if you look, it's amazing. Right here, she had just the stem that broke off. I give her so much credit because she's like, this is real. This is what happened. The stem broke off and it's a broken stem right in the middle. She has it right here, right in the middle of the picture. She just she drew what was there. But also, the still lifes showed the food and objects and flowers. And artists like to show their skill because they would take flowers that weren't all in season at one time and just draw them from memory and put them all together. And that was sort of like they were just kind of showing their talent by doing that. And these paintings served as aesthetic objects and symbols of wealth. So if you could afford a painting by one of these folks, they knew you were wealthy. Your neighbors and friends knew you were doing pretty well. So that was pretty cool. Okay, and then we're going to go to Ando Hiroshige, and this is we're jumping up to 1857, but this is a beautiful image. And it's print, so it's a different medium, but it's really beautiful. And if you look at it, it's not really a lot of detail. It's kind of large spaces of color, but it's really gorgeous. It's a whole different style. And then we're coming back to Europe and going to 1866. This is Henri Fantin Latour. Now, he was into these realistic, like if you were to see here, he did like every single petal on these hydrangeas and he had every single detail. But at the same time, Impressionists were developing. But the Impressionists did completely opposite. They were using light and color, but they respected him because he was so good at what he did. So, or actually, let me see, I lost that one. That goes, here we go. And yeah, so this is just so much detail. It's so beautiful. And now Henri Matisse, that is totally like no detail, but beautiful colors and beautiful light. And he said about painting, there is nothing more difficult for a truly creative painter than to paint a rose, because before we can do that, we have to forget all the roses that we've ever painted. It's true, because you have to look at what you're seeing. You can't go from your memory because every single one is different. So that's true, Matisse, very true. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is also at the same time as Impressionism. This guy did hyperrealism, and this is just a gorgeous image. He moved to the Seine River, and he painted the people in the area and these beautiful poppy fields. And she looks tired. So I don't know if that's from the poppies or from doing the gardening, but you know, she looks a little sleepy there. So, but it's beautiful. All the details on the poppies are gorgeous. Okay, and then this one I'm sure you've heard of, 1890. Now, this painting originally had a hot pink background, and it hung in his mom's house till 1904. And it's, guess who it is? Yes, that's right, it's Van Gogh. And he did these paintings when he was at the asylum because he didn't have a lot of things to look at. So he was forced to do still lifes of flowers because that's all he really had access to. And he did sunflowers as well. And then this is Paul Gauguin, and he did a beautiful image of flowers. However, they're just sort of shapes of color. You can't tell where the leaves are. You don't even know what kind of flowers they are, but they're beautiful. But what do you notice in this? You can see the light. Look at those gorgeous shadows. And you can see the shadow here. And and there's a bottom of a curtain, so you know they're near a window. So it's very interesting how some people focused on the images of the flowers and some focused on the light. Now, this is a Czech artist named Alphonse Mucha. This is called The Four Seasons, and this is gorgeous. These are all different ladies and flowers in each of the different four seasons. And that's Art Nouveau style. That was a very popular style. This is from 1897. These are all kind of around the same time. Isn't that amazing how there were such different styles all happening at once and popular? Oh my gosh. This guy, Odilon Redon. Now, he took the internal world and he tried to portray it on the canvas. He used very abstract painting, but this was one of his first works in 1905. This was toward the beginning of his career. And I find this interesting. A friend of his was a ceramicist, and she made him this vase. So most of his work has that vase in it. So that's kind of cool that he just used his friend's vase that she made for him in his work for years. Now this is this is the only one I'm doing with the same artist. Okay, where'd it go? There it is. This is the same artist, and he is portraying like what's going on in her mind, like all these flowers. Oh my goodness. And this is called Portrait of Violet Hayman. And she's just kind of sitting there. If you just looked at her without all those flowers, you would think it's kind of boring, but look what's in her imagination. So he was really this was around the time of Freud, and they were starting to like look within and without. So it's very interesting that he was able to portray this in the artwork as well. This one is one of my favorites, Piet Mondrian. Now this guy also eventually went on to do Boogie Woogie Broadway or something. I don't know, I forget what it was called, but he did yellow, blue, and red squares with black lines. And I'll put a contrast up in my actual video of this long form, but he made these flowers so abstract, and if you look close, you can see they're in a glass little jar or vase, but it's very translucent. It's really about these bold colors and shapes. So very abstract. That's a pretty one. And then this guy, very famous, he did a painting called the Kiss. Oh, hi there. Hi, Hilda. I'm guessing you're from Norway. Welcome. I'm just practicing. Normally I do a live, but I have to do this presentation in a little while, so I need to do a run through. So welcome. That was Gustav Klimt. And he did this beautiful painting of this field of flowers, very abstract. He also did the Kiss, and I'm sure you're familiar with that beautiful painting. Now this is a gorgeous, amazing work. It is huge. I believe it's 25 or 30 feet long, and it's located, this was at an installation in New York, and guess who it is? That's right, it's Monet. And he did the water lilies. Oh, the fascinating part about this, the last 30 years of his life, he had cataracts. So it made me think, like, maybe he didn't see that well, and this, I don't know. It probably affected the way he painted. If you have cataracts and you don't see very well, he did amazing work with that. Hi, unknowns. Good morning. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that is it's just such an immersive, beautiful piece, and it's just gorgeous. Now this next one, she's very controversial. Georgia O'Keeffe. Okay. And she did very close-up images. This is 1939, Hibiscus with Plumeria. She did very immersive work that was zoomed in on the flowers. And people said, oh, she's clearly doing lady parts here. And her husband even said that too. And she said, no, I just want people to look at the flowers and appreciate them. So so we don't look at things that closely. And I think that's amazing that she took a little flower and blew it up, simplified it, got the colors, got the shapes, and it had us think about it. Isn't that interesting? Okay. And then this one I'm just leaving with a fun one. This is Takashi Murakami, and it's just a fun, all these are little daisies. And this was 2010. I didn't do Warhol because, that's kind of cliche. But that's a quick brief history of flower painting. Flowers have been, good morning everybody that's joining us. Thank you for joining me. I have to do this presentation in like an hour and a half to some colleagues. We work with senior citizens, so I'm doing a sample class of how they can, I'd like them to hire me actually to teach this to their seniors. And then at the end, and I don't have any here, but we're gonna make a craft with flowers. So I have little silk flowers and pens, and we're gonna make beautiful little pens that have a flower on the end. And they're gonna make one for themselves to keep and one to give away. So there's a social aspect of it too. So it's a really fun, it's a fun class, and I try to put in history and art and feeling and socialization. So that's what I'm up to. Hi, Ahmed, welcome. So flowers throughout the history have been so symbolic. They can stand for love. They can stand for mortality. They can stand for rebirth. They bring emotions. They can share what our inner thoughts are, what's happening inside of our head. We can express them through the flowers. They are so powerful, and they really weren't that popular until the Dutch golden age of the Dutch painting really brought that forth to us. So I would love to know what you think, if you have any thoughts on flowers, if you have any thoughts on something I should include that I didn't. But yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see, O'Keeffe, I got her, and I think that's it. But anyway, well, thank you for spending time. I really appreciate this, you guys. I will be editing this up and doing a clean version of this on my secondary channel for seniors, or for people that want to learn about different things. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate the thumbs up. Oh, and here's Pumpkin. She's standing nearby. I'm gonna just get her on camera because she doesn't know what's happening, because she's usually. Hi. Did you say hi to everybody? Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for bearing with me for that. I appreciate it. And I'll be back on track. What day is tomorrow? Thursday. Yeah, back on track tomorrow. Oh, thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it. Hi, Lauren. Anyway, thank you all for being here, and I'll tighten it up a little bit before I present it, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. From myself to yourself, thanks for joining me on this journey. Bye. Okay, goodbye. Wait, Pumpkin wants to say goodbye too. Do you want to say goodbye? Okay, can you say goodbye? Okay, Pumpkin said goodbye too. Bye.